Who am I? Quite a lot of people know exactly who and what I am, but they see me in different ways.
And to listen to Banty reflecting on the life of his friend and hear the love in his voice for his friend was very, very moving indeed.
I felt like a swallow, flitting around him, and he was like a mountain, very steady and watchful and modest.
And then I quite arrogantly said, I know, you just bring awareness to it. But then what do? And he looked at me and he said, you just bring awareness to it.
My impression was like the people round the centre, they'd got Banty, who was like a sort of helium balloon on a bit of string, which if they weren't careful, he'd just float off.
And I said, but Banty, getting ready to argue, he said, but nothing. It was really Vajric. I was shocked.
In the dream, Banty kind of pointed at me and with tremendous amount of energy, he said, they're one figure, and you'll realise that when you're deeply absorbed.
A lot of positive feelings towards him. I didn't trust him.
If he'd been squeaky clean, I don't think I'd have wanted him. I wanted a messy guru because I was messy.
I realised after a while I needed to get out completely, not just from the Preceptors College, but I needed to step out of the FWBO, as we were called then.
Days after arriving on this retreat, Sangharakshita was aware his sight was deteriorating, as he recounted a few months later.
From even the very first day that I suffered this loss of eyesight, I think I could almost say I didn't regret not being able to read.
An interesting combination of quite intellectually stimulating, but also very kind and very sort of personable.
In a sense, you get the person, but somehow you sense a vast mountain range somewhere behind him.
And I'd written to Banty myself in 1991 to say that it was problematic, put it that way. I'm not going to say more than that.
At that particular time, things were rather difficult. I was suffering again from insomnia, even from chronic sleep deprivation.
We were spending a lot of time together and yeah, it was very, I can't describe it, but it was very direct. I heard things, but I wouldn't pass it on, including the Yashomitra thing and the whole storm around it.
That letter was a kind of catalyst for something that maybe something else would have been a catalyst.
Dictating letters, especially letters to old friends, was one of my few sources of pleasure. It provided me with an outlet for creativity, albeit a limited one, and the more creative I could be, the better I felt.